very warm welcome to all of you. My name is Deep Patel and my roll number is 17BP070. Today, our group are going to present about the ERDMP plan for the city gas station, and I would like to thank our course mentor Dr. Anil B. Sirkar and Mrs. Namrata Bish to giving us this opportunity. This slide contains about the group members along with their roll numbers. Components of the city gas station. While preparing the ERDMP plan for the city gas station, we have to watch upon this component: KOD, filtration unit, odorization unit, metering skid, common pressure reduction skid, and the pressure reduction skid valves. Emergency response and disaster management planning. ERDMP generally include these 21 steps, such as the following.
Hello, my name is Anirudh Patel and my roll number is 17BP068. Today I will going to talk about the classification of emergencies. The emergencies is classified into the three part of level 1. There are the level 1 emergency, level 2 emergency and level 3 emergency. First, we talk about the level 1 emergency. In the level 1 emergency, from the use of the available resources, we can manage the emergency on site or location, and there are the no impact on outside of site or location. These are the following types of emergency called as level 1 emergency. First is the minor natural gas leakage through the pipe hole in pipeline. This pipeline is up to the 20 diameter pipeline. Second is the minor natural gas fires arising due to the leakage through the pipe hole in the pipeline. Similarly, these are the diameter of the pipeline is up to 20 and third is the leakage of natural gas due to the failure of instrument tubing. These are the three example of level 1 emergency. Now we talk about the level 2 emergency. In this type of emergency, we cannot manage the emergency on site or location by available resources. um, we require to additional support for manage the emergency. It has created an impact on the outside of site or location, and it can create danger to our life, environment or industrial assets. In the level 2 emergency, in the following type of emergency called as level 2 emergency, the two types, two example. First is the leakage of natural gas leak from the above ground or underground pipeline through the hole above the 20 diameter and less than the 50 diameter. And second, fire arising due to the natural gas leakage through the hole in pipeline, hole above the 20 diameter and less than 50 diameter. These are the two condition, from that we can select as level 2 emergency. Now we talk about the level 3 emergency. In this type, this can be the create off-site impact and impact on population, property, environment inside and outside of installations. It can be managed by the district administration, and these are the following types of emergency called as level 3 emergency. First is the leakage of natural gas, leak from above ground or underground pipelines through the 20% CSA of pipeline or full bore repulsion. Second is fire arising due to the natural gas leakage through the 20% CSA of pipeline or full bore repulsion. These are the now we learn about the implementation schedule. Uh, in these emergencies, the codes and practice can be implemented for the areas covered under the Regulation 3 as per the implementation period mentioned in the, Schedule 1.
My roll number is 17 BPE069. I will be discussing on consequences of default for non-compliance and statutory requirements under ERDMP. So far, we have seen what is ERDMP and classification of emergencies. Now we will see about third and fourth point under the ERDMP, which are consequences of default or non-compliances and statutory requirements. Let us first understand why to apply ERDMP regulations. To prevent casualties both on-site and off-site, to reduce damage to property, machinery, public and environment, to develop a state of readiness for a prompt and orderly response to an emergency, and to establish a high order of preparedness commensurate with the risk, to ensure orderly and time decision making and response process. So we should ensure safety during each phase, meaning construction, commissioning, and operation phase. So there shall be a system for ensuring compliances to the provision of these regulations through developing a well-defined emergency response and disaster management plan and conduction of mock drill and safety audits during the construction, commissioning, and operation phase as ongoing basis. So we should ensure safety during construction, commissioning, operation phase as well as on ongoing basis. There shall also be a system of do's and don'ts regarding safety, mock drills, or real emergencies for the visitors before entering an establishment. This should be supported by written instruction sheets for visitor and ensure that visitor is accompanied by plant representative on forward visit and return gate. So there shall also be a system of do's and don'ts regarding safety during construction, commissioning, and operation phase. Now we will discuss about mutual aid association not responding as per memorandum of understanding or written agreement on request of assistance shall attract penalty under these regulations as under for first default in response, the defaulting entity with the application and its management shall have to submit written explanation to affected mutual aid members. For the second and successive failure, the defaulting entity shall have to pay the double of the billed amount of expenses incurred by affected mutual aid members in case of any eventuality occurs in the premises of affected mutual aid members. Now we will see about the statutory requirements. It shall be necessary to comply with the following acts: Environment Protection Act 1986, the Factories Act 1948, Inflammable Substances Act 1952, the Motor Vehicles Act 1988, the Petroleum Act 1934, and the Explosive Act 1884.
Good morning, all of you. My name is Deep Patel and my roll number is 17BP070. Today, I am going to talk about the some of the steps which is included in the ARDMP planning. ARDMP planning are as the following: pre-emergency planning, emergency mitigation measures, emergency preparedness measures. First one, the emergency planning. The emergency planning generally include the first step, which is the hazard identification, risk analysis, estimation of the risk, HAZOP and hazard studies. First one is the hazard identification. The hazard identification first step towards the ERDMP is to identify the hazards such as the leakage, spill, fire, explosion, pipeline rupture, etc. and the type of the damage caused by them. The first damage caused by that type of hazards is the natural gas is a highly flammable and can be exploded due to the chemical impact and the static discharge. For this, there is a one sheet called the Material Safety Data Sheet for the city gas station, which is attached in the upcoming slide as the Annexure 7. Second one is the hazards can be in the form of the natural calamities such as the flood, earthquake, high wind, etc. or in the form of the man-made, that is the terrorist attack, bomb threat or etc. The second one is the risk analysis. The second step of the ERDMP process is to determine the risk. The basic procedure in the risk analysis are as the follows. Identify potential failure, accidental release of the hazardous chemical rupture or the leakage in the tank or any equipment which is containing the hazardous chemical and having an impact on the public property or the environment. Calculate the quantity of the material that may be released in each failure. After assessing all the risks, the maximum tolerable criterion must be defined and above which the risk will be regarded as intolerable. Whatever be the benefit level must be reduced below this level. Now, third one is the estimation of the risk. Risk is a combination of the two factors. First one is the frequency of the occurrence of the accident and the magnitude of the accident. Risk analysis have been referred from the QRA report given by the CTPL, the individual risk contour which shows the geographical distribution of the risk to an individual, the causes of the disaster. There are generally three types of the causes for these hazards. First one is the man-made, second one is the natural calamities, and the third one is the extraneous. In the man-made generally include the heavy leakage, fire, explosion, design deficiency, unsafe acts, and all these things. The natural calamities include flood, earthquake, cyclone, outbreak of disease, and the tsunami. And extraneous include the terrorism, sabotage, bomb threat, abduction, food poisoning, or the water poisoning. Is called the safety material data sheet. It's from the Mahanagar Gas, which include all the property such as the material identification and use physical data for the material, hazardous ingredients of the material which are used in that plant or that equipment. This is also this sheet. Emergency mitigation measures. Emergency mitigation measures generally include three steps such as the following. First one is the basic requirement of the ERDMP, resource mobilization, and the incident preventing measures and the procedures. First one is the basic requirement of the ERDMP. Basic requirements needs to be assessed prior to the development of the ERDMP as per the detail provided in the Schedule 3. Resource mobilization. Resource mobilization shall include the manpower requirement, firefighting material, appliances or equipment, safety equipment, communication facility, transport list of the emergency drug and the appliance which is given in the Schedule 4. Incident preventing measures and the procedure. The incident prevention measures and the procedure at installation or other location shall include the following. First one is the health, safety and environment policy, proper layout and the inter-facility distances, safety committees with the fair participation of the union leader and the worker, safety audits and the inspection shall be carried out with the help of the checklist, work permit system, early warning alarm system in the installation, especially in the storage tank, filling station, delivery point and in the central control room. Inbuilt safety interlock system in design such as the safety relief valve, creep relief valve, thermal safety valve, non-returning valve, remote operated valve and other various emergency trip system in the installation, fire protection and the HSC management system, drill for the victors including the assembly procedure and escape route, do's and don'ts written in the instruction before the entry, etc. Setting up of the safety system and sending the exception reports to the head of the organization or the CEO. All standby equipment should be tried and operated periodically and recorded. Similarly, backup power for the safety equipment and the instrument should be checked periodically and the observation be recorded. Checkpoint for the incident prevention measures are given in at checklist 2. Emergency preparedness measures. Emergency preparedness measures. After detailing the prevention measures, preparedness measures to handle the emergency shall be explained in the ERDMP document. Emergency preparedness measures generally include 3 steps such as the emergency drill and the mock exercise, training and the mutual aid. First one is the emergency drill and the mock exercise to evaluate the toughness and the effectiveness of the ERDMP. It is necessary to conduct the periodic tabletop exercise, full-scale or announced and unannounced drill. Drill should be present a variety of the emergency scenario and designed to challenge each of the segment of the organization. Limited drills are useful and should be used by the chief of the each support service to train his own team. The warning system, first aid, evacuation procedure and the definitive treatment procedure should all be tested periodically. Some of the drills should also include participation of the outside group and the agencies such as the police, fire company, ambulance service, firefighter service, civil defense organization and the mutual aid group. Testing and mock drills for on-site emergency plans shall be carried once in 3 months, and for off-site emergency plans in the 12 months. For other installations, the mock drill shall be carried out once a year. Each mock drill should be recorded with the observation to be rectified within the 24-hour checkpoint. For the mutual aid and the mock drills are given at the checklist 3. The training. The ERDMP shall be easier to use. The training material and the general philosophy on the emergency prevention and the control are kept separate from the working plan. Training shall be imparted to all the personnel likely to be involved directly or indirectly to the emergencies, including employees, contractor worker, transporter crew and the security personnel. Contract personnel and the contract laborer should be allowed to start work only after the clearance of the test and the giving of the passing of the safety training exams.
Good morning to one and all present here. My name is Harsh Patel and my roll number is 17 BPE 071. As a part of our internal assessment for providing an ERDMP plan, today I'll be discussing few points. First point is emergency response procedures and measure. Now, containing the consequences of an emergency requires a well-planned and a documented procedures to ensure prompt response and coordination among various task groups. The following response procedures as prevalent in the location shall be carried out. First, zoning and maps. The zones and maps shall be prepared highlighting the incident prone areas of the unit so that in case of an emergency, it serves as a basis for taking the action. This indicates the size of the area within which human life is seriously endangered by the consequences of incidents. This should also include the location of assembly points and emergency control rooms. The map should also have marked 24 wind directions to facilitate easy access in case of emergencies. Second, the entities shall help the District Disaster Management Authority in finalizing the full drawn map of installation and nearby areas under their operations having presence of habitats which are vulnerable and sensitive like old age homes, schools, prisons, etc. Third, wind speed and direction should be recorded with the help of an anemometer and declaration of offsite emergencies should be immediately communicated to the DDMA. Layout flow and diagram. There should be a detailed layout and a flow diagram for different activities such as product lines, filling system, emergency shutdown, system isolations, valves, etc. should be detailed. The important control valves should also be highlighted. Manpower data. The details of the manpower deputed on shift basis should be given in order to assess the requirement in case of emergency. Next, emergency organization and the responsibilities. Now, the objectives of an emergency control organization shall be to promptly control problems as they develop at the scene, to prevent or limit the impact on other areas and off-site, to provide emergency personnel, selecting them for duties compatible with the normal work functions, or whatever is feasible. The duties and function assigned to the various people shall include making full use of existing organizations and service groups such as fire, safety, occupational health, medical, transportation, personal, maintenance and security. Employees must assume additional responsibilities as per laid down procedure of ERDMP whenever an emergency alarm sounds. In setting up the organization, the need for round the clock coverage shall be essential. Shift personnel must be prepared to take charge of the emergency control functions or emergency shutdown of system. If need be, until the responsible personnel arrive at the site of emergency, the organization should have an alternate arrangement for each functions. Now, on the left side is a typical basic organogram for control emergency. The entity can merge the functions as per the other statutory requirements based on the level of risk and the range of operations. Support services include communication services, engineering or maintenance services, medical and occupational health, human resource and welfare service, security, media or public regulations, transport and logistics, finance, contract, procurement and environmental services. Role of both CIC and SIC can be merged depending upon the requirement. Also, the RDMP shall identify the safe transition from a normal operation to emergency operation and a systematic shutdown, if any, and the delegation of authority from operations personnel to emergency response personnel. For this purpose, the plan shall identify an emergency response organization with appropriate lines of authority, with succession planning organization with the succession planning and actuating the response management. Now, the responsibility for decision making shall be clearly shown in an emergency organization chart. The plan shall identify each responder's position, mission, duties and reporting relationships. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Jindal Patel and my roll number is 17 BPE 073. So I will be talking about the infrastructure requirements. So the first point is Emergency Control Centers, which is also known as the ECC. So according to the ERDMP regulations, each installation or site shall have the provision of ECC and it should have all the backup arrangements which should be used in case of emergency. So while choosing the location for the ECC, there are mainly three criteria which we will be looking. The first is the ECC shall be away from the potential hazards and it should provide the maximum safety to the personnel as well as the equipments. The next point is the preference while choosing the location of ECC should be given to the non-combustible building. It should be either the steel frame or a reinforced concrete construction which should be chosen as a ECC location. The ECC should have at least 2 exits and adequate ventilation system. So after choosing the location of the ECC, these are the some certain basic supplies or dedicated equipments which shall be made available at the ECC. The first one is the copy of ERDMP. Then the next is the maps and diagrams showing the buildings, roads, underground fire mains, important hazard materials and the process lines and drainage trenches. Then the next one is the aerial photographs is possible. This mainly includes the maps of the site or nearby industries, roads, etc. So this helps us to determine how much the incident can affect the surrounding communities and we can take the necessary actions like blockage of roadways or etc. So we can have the minimum effect of our incident on the surrounding communities. So and another is the names, addresses as well as the telephone numbers of the employees. And another is the names, addresses and the telephone numbers of the offsite groups and organization which can be contacted in case of emergency to help us. Then the dedicated and reliable communication equipment should be provided at the ECC. This mainly includes the number of telephones should be enough in the location of ECC, the fax line, and the two-way radio communication should be there, which can be used when the other systems are not working properly. Then the all ECC should have the emergency lights, which can be used in case of power cutoff. The facilities for recording the sequence of events. ECC should also have the dedicated computer with the local area network or internet facility. So the computer should have the soft copy of the all the safety procedures and the standard operating procedure which should be followed by the company in case of emergency. So in the infrastructure requirements, the another point is the assembly point. So there should be pre-designated areas in the site or the safe zones which should be selected on the basis of quantitative risk assessment. These points are called the assembly point. These are the points where the workers, staff, or contract workers like people will be gathered in case of emergency. So depending on the location of the emergency, the assembly point can vary, and depending on the potential hazard of the and the location within the site, the assembly point should be pre-decided. The assembly point should be clearly marked on the location diagram and directional display board along with the route, and the route should be well lightened. During an emergency, the pre-designated person would take the charge of the assembly point and take the roll call of the people reporting. And the point should also provide the provision for the controlling the situation and counting the heads in case of emergency. So the next topic is the declaration of on-site and off-site emergencies. So at the initial stages, the emergency organization chart shall be put to the action, and if the incident goes beyond the control, then the on-site emergency plan should be put into the action by the chief incident controller, and the appropriate stages as considered is necessary. During the ideal shift or holidays, the security personnel will combat the incident as per the ERDMP organization chart, and at the same time they will inform the various emergency controllers for the guidance and control of the situation. So when the emergency becomes catastrophic and evacuation beyond the plant premises is considered necessary by the chief incident controller, the situation will be handed over to the district authority for implementing the offsite emergency plan. So the management of the emergency henceforth has to be controlled by the district crisis management group and under the supervision of the district controller or DDMA. In addition to the preparation of on-site emergency plan, furnishing the relevant information to the district authorities for the preparation of off-site emergency plan is a statutory responsibility of the occupier of every industry handling hazardous substance. And the next one is the resources for controlling the emergency. To meet all the possible emergencies, installation has to provide a number of system and resources based on the risk level. The available emergency control system and facilities which should be available in case of emergency, these are the listed below. So these are the equipments and services which should be available. Then the fire and gas detection system, then the fire protection system, both active and passive. Active means which can be used to control the fire, and passive fire protection system is used to reduce the spreading of the fire. Then the fire fighting system, ambulance facility in house, if it is not available, then should be available by the urgent call basis. Then the rescue facilities and personal protective equipment should be there, and first aid and medical facilities, and there should be minimum one nurse and one doctor by 24/7 in the first aid room. So communication facilities should be also there, and escape route and evacuation zone. Then the last one is the emergency shutdown system. Okay, so the third point is required resources shall be suitably incorporated into the plan, and number and type shall be as per the relevant code standards and best practices into the industry. And this section shall also identify the sources of local assistance, including telephone numbers and names of the contacts. So this contact list basically includes the contacts of police, nearby hospitals, and municipal corporation, and cleaning facilities for the after the incident. Okay, so the installation shall also determine type of resources such as equipment, personal, technology, enterprise, etc., and provided by the respective governments under the different conditions. The checkpoint for the availability of resources are given in the checklist. So the checklist is something like this. So this is the checklist which should be prepared, and make sure that all the necessary equipments are there. And this checklist basically includes the firefighting equipment of location, then the information to critical sources like number of hydrants, water monitors, and available resources as per the schedule 4. So this in this schedule 4, the all the basic equipments are listed in detail, and then there has a location has a storage of water for 4 hours firefighting. And these are the all the means equipments and necessary arrangements, external and internal resources for combating emergencies. This checklist should be prepared.
Hello, this is Kripal Patel. So now I will cover three important points of ERDMP. The first one is the demographic information. So first is what is the demographic information? So it's contained information of sensitive information of population of people around the stations in the radius of 5 kilometer. Then the sensitive institutions such as hospitals and the schools, religion establishments, etc. So, ERDIP plan should contain demographic information as per the following points. So, first is the neighboring population up to the 5 kilometer radius. So, in the particular station, the how much of the people are living in the radius of 5 kilometer, that should be necessary, because if there are any chances of major chances of the emergency and the disaster, so there might be some evacuation planned of those people. Okay, so second point is the housing colonies of industries. So there are some housing colonies nearby the industry, so that point should be considered a sensitive institutions, such as the school, then the hospitals, then the religious establishment, including the old age homes. So that information should there be before planning the ERDMP. Okay. Then the fourth and five are some cattle and livestock, flora and fauna. This all contain animal protection, like if there are any nearby that cattle and the livestock are there. So we have to also consider those animals for the safety reason. Yes. So second point is the medical facilities. So it's also play a very important role in the planning of ERDMP, because there might be the chances of the major or minor injuries during the emergency or the disaster. So we should consider these following points during the planning of the ERDMP. The following points are as follow. The first is facilities at the first aid center.
So how much facilitate our first aid center? There should be a proper requirement of all the necessary equipment of the medical. Then second is a detailed trained person in the first aid center, so the nurses and the helpers should be there. Then third is identify the hospital including the trained manpower in the nearby area. The fourth is a special antidotes required for a specific kind of causes of the disaster. So during the particular disaster, some people get may injured seriously. So we have to give some a special antidote to that person. So that requirement that uh, special antidote should be there in the particular first aid center. Then the detailed specialist doctor in the town. Then the details of the hospital in the nearby cities. So now a third major point and critical point I should say, like evacuation, because it's critical, because if we say while emergency or while any disaster, so evacuation of the people from the city gas station itself and also from the nearby area, as we previously discussed, from the nearby 5 kilometer of the radius we have to evacuate the people. So the evacuation process play a critical role while the planning of the ERDMP. So it's contain following three major criteria. Like first is planning and training on the evacuation techniques are important in preventing injuries. So second is the evacuation of the local communities or people near the site may be broadened depending on the situation and the downwind depression information, etc. The third is although this action will normally be initiated and handled by the district authorities, the affected installation shall help to implement such evacuation processes. Yes. So while planning the evacuation processes in the ERDMP, so we should consider the following points. The first one is the basic for recommending the on-site or off-site action. The authorized person for the area of a site evacuation, because one authorized person should be there which lead the people and for the safe operation. The third is the mode of communication. For the authorized person, they have a walkie-talkie for safe communication. Then the training in location exit from a building and area of the site. Then a location of the escape equipment. Then prevision for a flashlight or the other supplemental lighting. Which area can function as a safe area. This is also a very important point, because we have to consider one particular area which from at location where gathering of the people may take place and for the safe practice. Yes, the second is moving crosswind from a gas of fume release. Then provision of the food and drinking water at assembly point and the transfer point, because these also play a very critical role. Because if people are gathered at particular location, we have to provide some food and drinking water facilities and transfer those people to a very safe particular area.
Hello, myself Krupal Patel, roll number 17 BPE 075. Now, reporting of the incident. An incident report is a tool that documents any event that may or may not have caused injuries to a person or the damage to a company asset. It is used to capture injuries and accident, near misses, property and equipment damage, health and safety issues, security breaches, and misconduct in the worksite. An incident report can be used in the investigation and analysis of an event. It includes the root cause and corrective actions to eliminate the risk involved and prevent similar future occurrences. An incident report should be completed at the time an incident occurs, no matter how minor an injury is. What is considered an incident? It causes disruption or interference to an organization, causes significant risk that could affect members within an organization, impacts on the system and operation of worksites, attracts negative media attention or a negative profile for the worksite. Now, types of incident. Mainly, there are three types of incident we should report. One is the sentinel event, near misses, and no harm event. In the sentinel events, these are unexpected occurrences that resulted in a serious physical or psychological injury or death. Examples are slips, trips and falls, natural disasters, vehicle accidents, disease outbreak. In the near misses, these are situations where the people involved had no injuries but could have been potentially harmed by the risk detected. In the no harm events, these are incidents that need to be communicated across an organization to raise awareness of any harm that may happen. Now, all incidents covered under Level 1 shall be maintained by the entity for the inspection whenever called for inspection. Level 2 and Level 3 shall be reported to the board of the in the format specified place at Schedule 6 including near misses event. The report should be submitted within 48 hours after occurrence of the incident. Investigation report of all major incidents shall be submitted to the board. Now, incident shall be treated as major if any following occurs: fire more than 15 minutes, explosion and fatal incident, loss above rupees 10 lakh, and cumulative man hours lost more than 500 hours, plant shutdown, and level 3 incident. Now, action after reporting an incident by the entity. After reporting of the incident to the board, nodal officer or the head of the department shall have a responsibility of informing all the members of the board and shall coordinate with appropriate level in National Disaster Management Authority till normalization of the situation. Now the next topic is information to public. The safety measures to be taken in the event of an emergency shall be made known to the general public who are likely to be affected. For the purpose, do's and don'ts shall be prepared and furnished to the crisis management group. Display boards carrying do's and don'ts should be located outside the gate as well as neighboring colonies and other habitat area in the immediate vicinity.
Now, since the emergency is over, should it mean that our work and responsibility is over? The answer for this would be a big no. Now you have already learned different types of emergencies, different plans, mitigation measures, responses, evacuation techniques, reporting, and all other emergency related stuff. It's now time for recovery. That is, consider addressing the damages and casualties that have incurred during the emergency. But always remember that recovery is always done when the emergency subsides. That is, when all the active threats are eliminated. So guys, now I, Patel Parth, roll number 17BP076, am going to explain you emergency recovery procedures. After the emergency has subsided, the following activities are needed to be carried out in detail. The first and most crucial being informing the statutory authorities. They will investigate the incident and assess the damages incurred. They shall also perform various activities such as salvage of products, decontamination, cleanup, restoration of the impacted area. After this, a detailed report shall be prepared based on the entire experience of the incident, including restorations, limitations, and lessons learned, which are very important for us and help us to be more cautious and prepared for the future emergencies. Then ambient air monitoring should be done by State Pollution Control Board in the area of 5 km radius from the site and also at the site to determine the contamination created by the emergency in that area. Also, we must check how much it is affecting the health of not only humans but also other living organisms in that area. Accordingly, the steps must be taken afterwards. Now, there are various checkpoints on ERDMP recovery measures which are provided. You may pause the video here and go through each one of them and have a better understanding of all the checkpoints and which are listed over here. So now let's look at ERDMP for cascades on trucks or trailers. As we all know that pressurized gas is normally transported in cascades for CNG applications and other commercial applications. They should have specific provision in ERDMP to meet emergencies due to leakage of gas, damage to cascade or trailer, or burst of cylinder, etc. So now let's look at role of external agencies for road transportation emergency. First, fire brigade. On receipt of information from any source on incident of tank truck, fire brigade may contact nearest installation and police station. After assessing the situation, it may take one or more of the following measures. Rush the fire tender to the incident site with all the necessary firefighting equipments. Prepare a contingency plan for removal of tank truck if not leaking in consultation with installation personnel. Dispersal of vapors by water spray away from inhabited area in case of leaking. Extinguish the fire in case leakage source cannot be stopped. Allow the fire to burn under controlled conditions if isolation is not possible in case of gaseous fuels. Save human lives and salvage material from incident affected truck. Liaise or coordinate with fire brigade in adjoining town for additional help. If necessary, arrange water through municipal water tanker or any other source. Coming to role of police. On recipient of information, police may take the following actions as per Schedule 5, derived from the National Disaster Management Guidelines, Chemical Disasters, April 2007. However, the following points may also be taken care by police authority. They would stop the traffic from both the ends of a road. They will warn people living in adjacent area for stopping all the fire smoking activities. They will evacuate people to safer places if necessary. They will contact nearest district police headquarters and give them the situation report. They would evacuate any personnel from the area if required. They would extend help in removal of injured personnel to the nearest first aid center or hospital, contacting highway patrol, completing legal formalities in case of any casualty. Role of district administration. On receipt of information of incident, district administration may take one or more of the following actions listed below. They would like to keep watch on the overall situation. They will rush the ambulance to the incident site if casualties are reported. They shall direct cranes or any other such emergency fighting equipment to carry out rescue operations. They shall issue warning messages to people through public address system if any evacuation is required. They will arrange emergency vehicles for evacuation process purpose. They shall give direction to hospitals having burns injury ward for readiness to receive patient in case of any incident involving fire. They will provide basic amenities like water, electricity, food, and shelter to the affected people as required. Thank you.
Hello everybody, my name is Rohan Patel. My roll number is 17BP078 and I will be discussing about integration of ERDMP with the National Disaster Management Plan. So National Disaster Management Plan was organized on 23rd December 2005 by the Government of India, who took definite step towards NDNP by enacting the new law, which is NDNP Act 2005. The NDNP Act 2005 is a paradigm shift from a response and relief centric approach to a proactive and comprehensive mindset towards NDNP, which cover all aspects from the prevention, mitigation, preparedness to rehabilitation, reconstruction, and recovery. Now we will see integration of ERDMP with NDMP. This ERDMP documents has been developed taking into account all possible inputs on the subject from various stakeholders. Efforts have also been made to synthesize this with the document of the National Disaster Management Guide on chemical disasters industry, which was brought up by the National Disaster Management Authority. Now we will see further about security plan. With the increase in terrestrial activity towards the end of 20th century and the insulation having significant role in national economical sabotage and bomb threat, to such insulation should also be considered in the disaster management plan, such as high level of alertness measure strengthening security measurement by segregating gadget mechanical and electrical security gadgets. In any of the such cases, city police and administration should be informed immediately and their problem should be sorted out immediately. Now, emergency action in case of bomb threat we have to take. The person inside the plant should be evacuated as soon as possible. All the vehicle in the plant premises should be evacuated to safer place. Plant personnel should contact district authorities immediately. Any new or doubtful things should not be touched. All pipelines and tank valves should be closed and all the operating inside the bottling plant should be stopped. In case of fire, firefighting equipment shall be operated and city fire brigade should be called immediately during emergency. So thank you everybody for watching this video. If you like this video, do like, share and subscribe this video. Thank you.